All right. Of course, I have people over, and for the very first time, my computer did a system overload. I don't know why, but we're going to start this interview again. Ben and Cass Goldpine, how you doing?
We're doing so good, and welcome to Nashville.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to try to remember everything I said the first time we did this. You asked what took me so long. I said leaving Colorado's tough. It's a beautiful place. And now here we are. And you guys are about to tour in Colorado.
Yeah, we're going to be there in February. Where are we playing?
We're in Grand Junction. Grand Junction at KAFM Radio Room.
Yep.
As well as Montrose, Blue Corn Mercantile, and a Valentine's Day show in Telluride. Yeah, with the Telluride Arts Council.
Yeah, for the lovers.
Telluride is for lovers. That's what they say.
That's what it will be.
Wonderful. What's good, I'm glad we could finally hang out. We've tried to do this several times, and things keep coming up, so I'm glad we're together, and there's lots I want to talk to y'all about. First off, you just put out another record, in September. So yeah, you just put it out, essentially, right?
Yeah.
In musical terms. It's only been a few months. And I noticed you took the pressure off of giving it a really unique name. You called
We've set the precedent for taking the pressure off because
For the rest of our lives.
Yeah, we don't have to think about the name of our albums anymore.
They're all
1,
named.
2, the next one will be 3,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see how many we get to before we pass off this earth.
Are you superstitious? Will you go from what happens after 12?
I love the number 13. That'll probably be our best album ever.
That's great. That's great. And you put an album out in August of 22, and then another full length out in September of 23. So you're cranking them out. Is there works to get another one going for 2024?
Oh yeah, it's in the works.
Right now.
We're trying to do one a year. As you know, that's a lot of work to do. But like right now, we've been in Nashville for 3 or 4 weeks off the road, and so we've been working on new songs and getting arrangements for new songs that we have. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going well. I'm looking forward to 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And you guys are not off the road much. You've been home for a few weeks, but you tour all the time. How do you maintain that pace?
You know, it's crazy. This year was the first year we've ever played over 200 shows. And that's why I was like, when we come home in December, maybe we should just not work on music and take a break. And that's not how Ben works.
Yeah.
So we've been plowing away, and I am grateful that he's that way, because I would be more of the, let's just take some time off. But then we wouldn't have a new album to come out because, we're going to be on the road so much again this year. But also Ben has some new equipment, and we're going to be recording on the road, right?
Yeah, so I was telling you earlier about the studio equipment that I've been readjusting my studio. But really, it's also a on-the-road box where I'm bringing to shows and going to hopefully be recording a lot of the album material from live shows.
Really?
Yeah, which seems like there's always been something about the live show where the energy of the vocals and the energy of the music feels like that. Sometimes it's not there in a studio performance.
Yeah.
And so I thought, what better way to capture that than just let's see if we can get it at the live shows. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to be exciting.
Are you going to get it at the live shows and say, that's it, mix it, master it, or are you going to add things to it?
It might be, if we can work these arrangements out with just Kassie and I to where it feels really full, we might leave it as is. And that's what we've been doing as we've been home, is figuring out with 2 people, how can we make this feel like full band? And we're getting very creative about it with snare drum sounds from tambourines. You'll have to see that live.
Yeah.
And some MIDI stuff, which is kind of interesting. And you might know from seeing us earlier, but I play a suitcase kick drum.
Yeah.
And so it's feeling pretty full. I like it.
Yeah, it is. I feel like he's always getting me to do things that I would not do without him, just kind of throwing me in the deep end. And I remember, I don't know how many years ago, he was like, you know what? I think that you need to play harmonica. And I was like, no, I'm good. I think I'll just be a singer. That's what I like doing. He's like, no, I really think it would like make a fuller sound and you should play harmonica. And I was like, no, I'm good. And then he bought me 4. And so I was like, okay, fine. I'll do it.
Different keys?
Yes. Like, who does that when I said no? No means no,
Yeah.
but not with Ben. And then now all of a sudden he has been creating these tambourines that sound like he's miking my tambourines, and it's just. But you're right. Most of the time you're right, and so it does make this whole full sound. And I'm really glad that he's been doing that because it does create a new Goldpine thickness, even already than what it was.
So honestly, what happened? Now, this whole process started before this event, but what really spurred it on is I saw Shovels and Rope play live at Americana Fest. And I was so impressed because they're just 2 people, and it was better than most full bands.
Yeah.
And it was such a there was full drum kit.
Yeah.
There was keys on the right hand of whoever was playing drums, like synths or whatever. There was bass pedals for the guitar player. There was harmonica. There was 2 harmonies. And I was like, how are they? I was so impressed.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was was revelational to me.
Influence.
Yeah.
I saw Shovels and Rope at E-Town. They did an E-Town radio taping in Boulder sometime last year. The other artist was my buddy Nick Clark, so we had to go out and support. And I had not seen Shovels and Rope live, and I thought about you guys as soon as they came out on stage. Not just the husband-wife dynamic, but kind of they're doing all these different sounds and the harmonies and stuff. And I said, oh my gosh, they should tour together or something.
Oh.
And maybe you will. I bet
Maybe
you will
we
at some
will.
point.
I love them. And think about it. They're 2 people not paying any. I mean, they're probably paying a manager or whatever, but not paying any of their band members. They're not housing band members at all. I mean, it's just it
They had
makes
a bus.
sense. Huh?
They had a bus. They did, they were doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's ideal. It's cool.
And-
They got a cool thing going.
Yeah, and a lot of times with full bands, like people, sometimes the bands will break up. Well, these bands aren't going to break up, and so you save a lot of money too.
If this band breaks up, it's going to get ugly. I want to talk about that a little bit. Being married and being in the band together, and you're the only 2 members, I'm sure there's a lot of ideal things about it. When I leave home, I'm away from family, and that, that's tough. You guys are traveling together. You're together all the time. What are some of the advantages of it, and what are maybe some of the disadvantages of having no separation with home and work from each other?
I like how you passed the mic to me on that one. Well,
Your answer.
you're right. There's both. There's advantages, and it would be. We always say this. It would be super hard for us to do it as a solo act. I don't envy people who are doing it as a solo act because it's just there's so much work. There's so much marketing, promotion. There's so much songwriting. There's so much driving. And, Kassie and I have near opposite strengths, which is such a strength for us together.
Yeah.
Kassie is so strong in social media areas where I'm not. And I'm very strong in, engineering, studio, just other areas, and it makes for a really good fit. But we are in a van most of the time, and it's a small van. Planet Fitness is a savior. I'll say that. We're at a Planet Fitness literally every day.
So you've got
out,
memberships to shower and sleep in the parking lot and stuff?
And we're working out there every day, which we feel great on the road because we're working out. Showering there, I can take as long of a shower as I want, and nobody cares. And
water never runs out.
Yeah,
and there's never a
it
line.
does sometimes.
There's never a line to shower there. I've
Never a
done
line.
it. Yeah.
They're not as clean as I would like them to be, but
you wear your shower shoes.
I'll bring it up with the guy. Yeah, why was I saying that? Because that also affords us the opportunity to get out of the van, which is a big deal. If we were just in the van and there was everything was in there, the shower, whatever was in there, I think we'd have to get out.
Yeah.
And so that space is important, but it's also so cool that we get to do it together.
Yeah. I completely agree with all that. And I'm really grateful for Planet Fitness. So, like, wow. I mean, if you're out there, Planet Fitness, we'd love a sponsorship. No, but for real, it's just, it's great to have that a part-time because we are together all the time. But like he said, I don't think I would do it without him. And I don't know how people do it alone. Like, I know you do it alone. It's like, it's a lot of work. And, like I do 98% of the driving. Like, so I love driving.
Yeah.
So I do all the driving, and then Ben's in the back at his table working on booking and working on, all this stuff. And so we're able to do, so I just don't know how solo artists can do all that. Cause like literally I'll be driving for 8 hours and he works the entire time.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I don't know. I wouldn't want to do it without him. But it's so much fun, and it's such a blessing to be able to do what you love with the person you love.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. Like, we get to see so much of the world. We get to share our music, which is our music is our ministry. And I'm just so grateful that we get to do what we're doing and that we do it together. It's not always, highs, but that's another thing too is, as we know, every gig's not a great gig.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, you can play a gig and maybe, I'm just being straight up, maybe there's 12 people there and you just feel really defeated. And then after the show, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to quit music. I want to lay in the street and get run over. But having 2 people, he's like, come on, no, this is just one show. And so like being able to also be there for each other like that, just makes it so much better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about playing, that you guys have opposite strengths, and that's really key. And I've noticed that you're able to maintain a social media presence while also being on the road. And something I think we all struggle with is where do you put your energy, especially in 2024. You notice a lot of the people that are going out on tour are the ones that are staying home and making content in their bedrooms, and then they're going out on these tours because they were staying home doing content in their bedrooms. Yeah. And you guys are on the road all the time, but you manage to keep up with your social media too. I think it's really cool that you balance both so well, and you're constantly on the road. And a lot of people say, oh, that's not how you do it anymore. But y'all have built a fan base from literally shaking hands, from pushing flesh, from showing people your presentation, from showing people your show. It just must be neat to keep all the things. And I'm sure you feel overwhelmed too sometimes with too many tasks, but it must be nice to be able to say, hey, you're good at this, I'm good at that, let's get it all done.
Yeah. And all the social media stuff, again, is pretty much all Kassie. So, yeah, she stays on top of it, which
it's consuming.
I don't do it, so I don't know exactly how much work it is, but it seems like it's a lot of work. I mean, just making one video for like a reel, cropping it, putting the filter on it, maybe putting words on it, making sure the copy is right. I mean, how much time you spend on just that one, and you have to do that like every day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I know that Kassie is the one on social media because I got a message from you guys once, and it started with, hey, this is Ben. And I was...
yeah, I was right.
I was like, okay, so he's not the one who's doing this.
Assume it's
usually.
Kassie unless I introduce myself.
Yep.
You all have a booking agent now. Mm-hmm. And how long has that been going on, first off?
A little over a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what percentage of the shows is the booking agent getting for you, and what percentage are you still doing yourself?
Over the last year, I've still been booking most of the shows. I would say I was probably booking 80% of stuff, maybe more. They were booking us for different festivals and different support slots for larger artists and stuff like that. And so they were greater shows than what I could book, but they were fewer than I was booking. But now we're starting to shift, and they are taking over more of what's going on with us. So even in the next, the rest of this year, I think it's going to be a drastic difference where I'm going to be doing a lot less booking, which I'm so thankful for.
That's the job we all want to farm out.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I've been booking in some way for, I don't know, 15 years.
Yeah.
I started booking Kassie at things when she was a solo artist, and I always said, especially like the first 5 years, this was the worst thing I've ever done. I hated it. I hated following up. I hated not knowing what kind of response I was going to get. I hated the rate of response I would get. And I did learn to do it well, I think, and learn to like it a little bit. But, man, I just think I put my energy somewhere else. If we can, yeah. I'm glad they're going to be taking over. Yeah.
Well, and I met, is his name Andrew?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I met Andrew briefly at the City Winery show, and I said, oh, so you book Goldpine? He's like, yeah, we book Goldpine, but I mean, honestly, like, they're the best booking agent anyone could ever have because because they're such go-getters, and they've done it themselves for a long time, and they're very social.
Uh-huh.
Is like, so there's, like, yeah, we're technically like the umbrella, but don't make no mistake, they're doing a lot of work.
Yeah. It is a lot of work just being an artist and doing all that. I love Andrew, and we love CMC booking here in Nashville.
It was an answered prayer.
I used to play Ultimate Frisbee with Andrew for probably the last 10 years.
Wow.
And I didn't know probably for 7 of those years that he was even in the music industry. We just played. And then we got to talking about it, and here we are.
Yeah.
That's great. What and just one more kind of follow-up about booking, because it's an interesting topic. What does that time commitment look? It's different for everybody, but for you specifically, what is that time commitment like? I mean, in an average week, do you take weeks off of booking, or is it pretty constant? And do you have a follow-up method after a certain amount of time?
Very good question. Time-wise, if I was doing, like when I was doing all of our booking, I mean, I'm probably sitting while Cassie's driving for, I don't know, an average of 4 to 6 hours at a time, probably a couple times a week. So, I mean, every week was so different, but that might be an average. And then follow-up, yeah. So I'll say this. Follow-up is probably responsible for where we are today.
Yeah.
Follow-up is why we're here today.
Yeah.
Nobody emails back on the first or the second. Nobody does. Nobody, literally. Nobody does.
I know. Or the third. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I talked to a booking agent probably 7 years ago, and they said, I follow up 7 times, once per week. And I usually get my best responses probably 4th, 5th, 6th follow-up.
Wow. Yeah.
And I thought at that time, boy, that feels kind of like pestering.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I've never had a bad experience with following up. And they've always been like, oh, yeah, man, sorry, I just didn't see your email. I'm glad you followed up. Because think about it. A venue wants to know you're going to be persistent. They want to know you're going to stick in there and not just give up. I mean, so, and as far as follow-up, I'll say there's tools out there to help somebody to follow up without doing all of the work manually.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it's in terms of just being reminded, like, hey, you reached out to this person, follow up with them, or even something to just go ahead and send that email off again.
The second option. Yep. There's a lot of options out there for that.
It took you a long time to find that.
Yeah. That saved me
years,
a lot of
you
time.
didn't do that because you didn't know.
So you set it up like, hey, here's initial email, and I'm going to send these next. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. And do your follow-up emails say the same thing?
The follow-up emails are, if it makes sense, a response to the email I just sent. It's not a totally new email.
Yeah.
So they see that I followed up how many times. Because it's important for them to see, oh, yeah, they're persistent. I want them at my venue, you know?
But will you repost the content of the first email, or do you just say, hey, following up on
I pretty
first
much
email?
just like a sentence.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's me again, you know? Making sure this didn't go to your spam folder.
Yeah.
Well, you know, got any availability for the dates or whatever. So, yeah.
And now, when there's a venue that y'all really want to play, or a festival, or actually I should say venues, might not apply to a festival. There's a venue you really want to play, and you're going there, you're going to be through town in April. But they can't get you in April, but they can do something in July. How often do you try to accommodate the venues, and how often you just say, doggone it, this is our route, and if we don't catch you this time around, we'll catch you next time around. We're sticking to our route.
Yeah, that's the tough question, because even like these coming months in 2024, I'm trying to figure out, okay, we have like maybe one date that I'm trying to, but I know I need to go, for instance, to the Midwest. I haven't been there in a while. So usually I'm trying to figure out, oh, this is the kind of route we can take, and I have venues in mind for certain dates. And it might be like a date range of a week or a week and a half. I could be in Des Moines, Iowa for this range of a week and a half. And so I send those dates out to those venues. If they don't have that range available, I'm not going to reroute everything, because I've already got 30 other emails out to other venues thinking about this tour route.
Yeah.
And so I'll just catch them on the next time. But there's other options out there. If that venue, and that's happened so many times, there's so many other venues to play in that area usually. So, yeah. The routing's hard sometimes.
Kassie, something I wanted to ask you about specifically is outfits, because I notice that, I mean, there's definitely thought in branding that goes behind what y'all wear for your shows. And, you know, whether it's the website and the matching orange for the album cover, right, or the Kansas City Chiefs game where you had something made.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it really shows, I think, another level of professionalism. And I certainly notice, and other musician friends of ours notice, like, oh yeah, Goldpine's, they're there to they're there to do their thing, you know. And that's presentation is part of it. It's not just the music. Obviously the music sounds great, but how much time do you put into the outfit? Is that a passion of yours? Do you love thinking about that?
Yeah, so I love that stuff. That's another one of my strengths. And I don't know. I mean, so another thing is I love vintage clothes, and I love thrifting, and I love secondhand shops and stuff like that. And what's so great about us is we're on the road all the time, so I get to hit them in every city. So I get so when people see my clothes, they're like, where are they from? I'm like, oh, a thrift store in the small town in Iowa that you probably never heard of. So I'm always on the look. Like that's my main thing is when we go to new cities is I want to get out of the van so I can go to their vintage stores and their thrift stores and just check it out. And especially Plato's Closets. I love, and what's that other place I really love? Buffalo Exchange.
Yeah, Buffalo Exchange.
Really great. But first of all, thank you. I just love clothes, and I definitely don't stress about it. It's exciting to me.
Yeah.
I get way more excited about it than Ben, but it's fine. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, first of all, oh my gosh, I just was like blown away that we had this opportunity, and I was like, I want something special for this amazing opportunity for the Chiefs. And so I had been styled for Americana Fest by Barry Kaufman, and I reached out to her. She's a designer. She designs for Dolly, The Rock. She designs for all these people. She's so amazing. Fables by Barry, if you want to check her out. And by the way, she doesn't live far from here. I was like, we're almost by Barry's house.
Oh, wow.
But I just had this idea, and I told her, and so I went to her house, and she drew it up, and she literally designed it from just formed my like everything. It was the
Wow.
cool. I've never had anything like that done before, and so that was really exciting for me. But thanks for thinking that my style's cool. It's usually used secondhand stuff besides the stuff that I wear of Barry's, and hers is all her. But yeah,
Wow.
thanks.
Oh, in that Kansas City Chiefs game, you did the national anthem at not just a sporting event, but an American football game. And I mean, you know how people are about their football.
People love football.
And it was on New Year's Eve, and it was the Chiefs, who are, one of the powerhouse teams the last several years. Probably one of the best attended teams. So how did that opportunity come about, and how exciting was it to get that offer?
It was so exciting to get that offer, and it's pretty crazy how it happened. So a friend of mine here in Nashville that doesn't live far from here too, we go to church together, but she also works for the Chamber of Commerce. And last February, she reached out to us and asked if we would sing the national anthem at their big yearly annual meeting. And the governor was going to be there, and all these politicians and all these things. And I was like, I don't do the national anthem. I'm like scared of that song. It's too hard. But she's that friend that you don't tell no.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that she's that person. And so we said yes. And so the last February we sang the song, and first of all, Ben came up with the beautiful arrangement, and we sang it. And after we sang it, I was like, that was pretty good. I was like, that's pretty cool. And I said, we should just go home and make a video in our living room. So we went home to our house that same day, made a video, and I sent it into the Chiefs. And they messaged us back 3 months later.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's mind blowing. And so when we got the email, we had known about it. We've known it's already over now, but we had known about it for like 6 months. And when we got the email, we were like, we thought it was fake, because we're like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And it was 3 months after. And I don't know, you know how there's so many scammers. So we're like trying to like find out if this is really somebody that works for the Chiefs. And sure enough, it was. And it was one of the greatest highlights of our career.
Yeah.
First time singing in front of 76,000 people. It was such a rush.
And 1 million watching at home or something.
They didn't air it on TV. Not everywhere.
Oh.
Not everywhere. Somebody today told us that they saw part of it in New Mexico. But and also it was in front of Taylor Swift. She was there.
She was there.
The queen. So anyways, it was such an amazing opportunity. But I also just want to say, like, to people out there listening, invest in yourself. If you want to do something, like, do it. Like, because everybody's like, how did that happen for you? And I'm like, I don't know. We just made a video. So I don't know. We're really grateful for the opportunity. It was such a blessing. It was a day that we'll never, ever forget.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool to see. I was so happy for you guys when I saw that, and
Thank you.
yeah, that's a really neat opportunity for sure.
It's cool. Go Chiefs.
Were you Chiefs fans before?
So honestly, we don't really watch a lot of football. I'm from Alabama, so Roll Tide, but like we tour in Kansas and Missouri quite often. And we've done some artist in residency in some small towns in Marshall County in Kansas. And so and it's funny because the first time we ever played there, like years ago, they said, I used to have like a mohawk. And then I used to have like on the side only half of it shaved off. And they were like, you have the half Mahoney. And I was like, Mahoney, sorry. Sorry. And I was like, what does that mean? And then they were like, he's their quarterback, right? And they were like, it's our quarterback. I knew that, by the way. He's my girlfriend.
How do you tell me you're not a big football fan without telling me you're not a big football fan? You just did it.
But anyways, whenever we thought, who would we want to sing for? I thought that would be someone that we'd want to sing for because we were connected to them. So
you specifically targeted the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah. My girlfriend. I knew you were the quarterback.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To back it up a little bit, where did you first meet? How did this happen?
Kassie and I met in 2006 in Antioch, which is basically a suburb of Nashville, and at a small church plant, a church that didn't even have a building yet. They were just starting up. They met in the cafeteria of a school, and I was playing guitar on the stage with Brother Leroy. That was my first duo. And then Kassie was attending with like 20 other people. That's the amount of people that went to that place. About 20 people.
Not even that many.
Yeah, and
Wow.
Kassie was one of them. So not only did I
And I seen you in those K-Swiss and that yellow polo shirt and those horrible khakis, and I thought, that's my future husband.
all of that stuff's back in style now. So anyway, after not only did we see each other there, but I worked at a coffee shop in Nashville, and I saw her there when she would have meetings with her manager. And I did sound at Tin Roof on Demumbrian, and she would be in there on lunch when she was songwriting.
Because we took a lunch back then.
Yeah.
Right, songs.
So I would see her 3 different places just randomly, and she MySpaced me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, MySpace. So MySpace is a social media app
Yeah.
before Facebook.
Thank you, Tom.
It's not an app. It never was an app, right? It was you had to use the
just
Internet
a site.
Explorer.
Yeah.
It was a website. Wow.
We're showing our age.
Dang. Yeah. So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And when you were on songwriting break, was this a publishing deal sort of thing?
No. So, my gosh, let's see. In 2006, I kind of had a record deal. I know that sounds kind of weird. But I was with a record label, and we were going back and forth with contracts between my people and their people. And so it was just like so drawn out, like over a year, that I was with them for a year. And so they would put me with these different writers, and not that there's anything wrong with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But, after like an hour and a half, 2 hours, we're like, well, we should probably go take a lunch. And then we'd go downtown and eat lunch. And so, and that's when I it was back then, and maybe it still is, but we would, so no, I didn't have a pub deal, but the label would put me with a bunch of different writers all the time.
Cool. So you met and eventually put other projects to the side. And did this happen when you first formed your band, or were you still doing solo stuff? And I know it was also My One and Only for a while.
We have been so many names, we can confuse you real quick. So I was Kassie Miller, then I was just Kassie, Ben was Wilson, and then we were My One and Only, and now we're Goldpine. So you literally can go get music from us dated back to like 2005, 2006, whatever, if you want to go back to all those people. Mm-hmm. But when I met Ben, it's when I was working with the label. And at the end, me and my manager, we all they decided that I shouldn't take the deal. And so we did not take the deal. And fortunately for us, that was the right decision, because 2 weeks later it went under. And so all the people that were on the label, like Little Texas, Minnie Murphy, all these other people were stuck in their contract for a while.
Wow.
But they got out of it, but I didn't sign it, so I was free to go. So after that is pretty much when I met Ben. And then I kind of parted ways with my manager, because at that time we had done all we could do. He was amazing. We were still great friends, but I was like, I think I'm ready to go try something new. And that's when I met Ben. And so Ben started producing all my albums, because Ben moved to Nashville, went to school here for audio engineering. He can talk about that. But so that's how we first started working together, is he was producing my albums as Kassie Miller and Kassie. And it wasn't until, like, how long ago that we started becoming a duo?
8 years ago or so. And we became My One and Only. I tell you what, it's really hard to figure out a band name. I know you just used Andy.
Which was great.
which you didn't choose. But if you
And
had
no one
to choose,
can pronounce the last name,
if you had to choose, it's not easy.
It's hard.
Because
Right.
you choose one, you're pretty much stuck with it forever unless you rebrand, which is a whole ordeal, and we know all about that.
It's hard too.
So now we're Goldpine.
Why did you change to Goldpine, and what was the rebranding process?
We were my one and only for 5 years, maybe. And when we changed to, when we became a duo and decided to be that band, that duo name, it was because of several reasons. Like, we were two artists and we became one. We were two people and married as one, and our one faith in God. So there was all sorts of aspects to my one and only, and it meant a lot to us. But the only thing that women would hear on stage when someone would introduce us, now we're introducing my one and only, is all the women in the crowd would just be like, oh, that is so sweet. Like, you guys are so sweet.
You didn't want to
And-
be sweet.
Which we are.
and I don't want to be sweet, exactly. So we were looking for something more edgy. And Goldpine, we just kind of made up our own word. I mean, it has some meaning too.
Yeah.
But really, it just sounds cool.
It does.
But everybody gets that wrong too.
Gold mine.
They call it.
Golden Pines. Yeah, it happens.
Golden Pines is like maybe a little too Americana.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Goldpine's got a little grit to it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what we were going for.
Something that y'all do out on the road besides just play shows, you've done some residencies. I think you've done some stuff in schools, right? Done some different sorts of things. What's been some of that stuff, and how has that helped as just having another element of something that you do?
Well, it's crazy because that's something that never crossed our mind. That's something that we never sought after. It just kind of happened. And when I was saying that we played in Marshall County, so we had played 2 or 3 shows in, where did we start out? Marysville, Kansas. And so we did 2 or 3 shows there. And then the director over the arts council said, you know what, we do this thing where we bring an artist in and we do an artist in residency, and I think maybe they stay a week or 2 or something. He was like, is that something that would be of interest to y'all? And then we were like, I don't know. And honestly, we couldn't do it. We didn't do it because my mom was sick at the time. And then a couple years later, we ended up getting to do it. And we had never done anything like this, so we didn't know what it would look like. But of course, he went over it. And so it was amazing because we did, for 3 weeks, we spent 1 week in each town in this county. And every single day, we had no off days, we did events. And it would be like going into a library and singing and doing music for kids, going into assisted living or nursing homes and doing music and concerts for them, doing concerts in their opera houses. And one of the craziest things, but best things that we did is we judged a biscuit contest. That's where a biscuit contest. And so they had this at one of their museums in town. It was called Biscuits and Jam. And we were the jam after. We ate 23 biscuits.
Each?
They were portioned, but still, like, that's a lot of biscuits. I was like, maybe we should have jammed first because then I needed stretchy pants. But anyways, that experience was amazing. And then from that, then somebody else asked us to do it in Unionville, Missouri. We did it with Tom at the Bixler with the fair. But we honestly love doing those. Again, it's not something we're trying to get or even trying to get now, but when it just organically happens, we're super grateful for the opportunity and getting to teach. Oh yeah, we did songwriting to kids and then songwriting with adults, and it was just powerful. I'm sorry, you want to talk about any of that?
No, it was good. Good synopsis.
Thank you.
You did one in Unionville too. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So what's... Oh, actually, am I allowed to ask you about what we chatted about before the podcast? Yes. So you had a health scare last year that sidelined you all for a little while.
Yeah, I guess was it 2022 or 23? Okay, so yeah, we were in Colorado in 2022. I woke up one morning and I could not sit up out of the bed. Long story short is I ended up getting misdiagnosed twice. And then when I came home to Nashville a couple weeks later, went to my doctor again. I was in excruciating pain, but it was come and go. And they ended up finding a 6-pound, 9-inch tumor in my right ovary, which is huge.
Yeah, I saw
It's
it.
huge.
It's huge.
I showed him the picture, and if anybody wants to see it, slide into my DMs and I will show you. I told the doctor, I said, you better take a picture. But yeah, so they thought it could be cancer, which was crazy. I've always been super healthy. This was mind-blowing that this happened. And it was actually during our residency with Tom at the fair in Putnam County Fair in Unionville is when all this happened. But anyways, not Vanderbilt. Centennial was amazing. I had it removed, but unfortunately they biopsied it. It came back borderline, and so they had to do a full hysterectomy. And so, honey, I am in menopause, and it's terrible. It is terrible, and I feel sorry for the things that I say to you when I'm having a hot flash, Ben. But anyways, I'm doing really good. I go back every 3 months. No cancer. I'm doing great. So it's supposed to take, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks to get back on the road, and we went back on the road in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
So we're really grateful. God is good, and so is Ben's mama, because she came down and they took care of me, waited on me hand and foot, made me get out of the bed and walk with a cane. So they were amazing. I probably wouldn't have healed that quickly without them. So Team Wilson.
Right on. Right on. Very good. And then the flick of the beard there. Yeah. So what are you looking forward to the most in 2024? There's a lot on the docket so far, but what's happening that's new and exciting?
There is a couple festivals. I don't think I can quite say them yet, but a couple cool festivals that we're going to be a part of in 2024. And this is announced. We're have been a support act for Radney Foster. And we're going to do a few shows with him in Texas in March or April. And we're also, not only are we supporting ACT, but we are playing in his band as a trio with Radney Foster.
So cool.
So
learning all the songs, playing guitar, singing all the harmonies. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
So cool.
Yeah, I would say those things we're really looking forward to. But just to see things progress, I think, just to see how things grow. Is a big deal, to see how we can look back at the end of 2024 and see how things have grown, how a fan base has grown. Yeah, I think it's going to be good this year.
I'm glad that you answered that, because I straight up was about to tell them.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was just like, yeah, we're super excited.
You would have put my podcast on the map.
That didn't even cross my mind that they're not announced yet. Sorry.
Well, I'm very excited to hear what they are.
We'll tell you in a minute.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks for coming over.
Yeah.
And let's go make some dinner.
Yeah, dinner.
Yes.